E-types, svelte and streamlined.
Aston Martins as well. TVRs are going to hear the engine revs rise. Who's going to get the power down? Well, Rob Hall started well. 1 or 2 of the Cobras further down the order. It's a lot of cars vying for position, and it's just going to be Cottingham with, from the outside, Andrew Smith, his old buddy, coming up too. One of the E-types is very wide on the grass, and I think Rob Hall found himself out there as well. Is that Bradley Ellis? It is Bradley Ellis squirming around on the grass on the outside, scrungling in the greensward, but he gets it back onto the track. He's got some work to do now. And 16 there, another of the Daytona Coupes. That's Carlos Monteverde, the Brazilian driver based over here. But as they fire around the back, flat out, these big capacity GT cars going past Bruce now in that tower left of picture.
What a wonderful rumble as they go, but the Shelby American Cobra Daytona Coupes, all the horsepower at the start. They certainly dropped poor Bradley Ellis, and then he was pushed wide in the first corner. But it's 1 and 2, Cottingham ahead of Smith, and the TVR's really mixing it. There's Mike Whitaker, good to see him so near the front. But look, the green Cobra ahead of the silver, the metal one behind them. And so it's Cottingham leading from Smith, but Smith keeping him very honest. And the AC Cobra is hunting in pairs as well and coming through. Number 1 was Rob Hall. He has so many good races here. He's in 6th place at the moment.
Certainly does. They're down at Woodcote Corner, and I see Whitaker in that distinctive TVR ahead of Bradley Ellis there. But it's Cottingham and Smith.
TVR and E-type side by side.
Cottingham Smith gap back to David Hart in both Gary Pearson, I guess, is up into 4th. It is. Minshaw is in 5th. Rob Hall is in 6th. And look at this, they're all side by side into Monteverde with Bradley Ellis on the inside. I think it was making up the time. There's Pearson attacking David Hart and getting through at Ford Water. John Minshaw right in behind him. David Hart up on the grass through the kink over the top of the curbing there. That's a superb battle, and squirming along on the outside, the white Cobra of Rob Hall.
Well, first 2 well clear, then number 9 is in 3rd place, going through very happily. That's Gary Pearson, but the 3-way battle between 2 Cobras, and in the middle, the meat in the sandwich, if you will, the other E-type. It's so exciting, so sideways. But I've got Adrian Wilmot, 3 cars off at St Mary's. Adrian Wilmot's on looks like he's lost a wheel actually coming in. The front's bogged right down in the field in the Aston Martin. We had a red Bizzarrini going for a spin, and I couldn't catch the 3rd car. Hopefully on the replay I will, but just look at the screen for a second. And you can see up front it's all going fine. The Cobra Daytona Coupes pulling ever further clear, but it's now E-type Cobra, E-type Cobra, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. No, he has got the wheel, but it does look a little bit compressed there. So Adrian out.
Certainly beached, doesn't it? So we've got Cottingham and Smith, the 2 buddies in their matching Cobras, and a gap back to now Pearson in 3rd place. Behind Pearson is David Hart, and then Minshaw and Hall. Together, so 2-2-2. Behind them, 47, Bradley Ellis has come up the order, trying to make up ground. Qualified 2nd yesterday. Mike Whitaker is in next place in the blue TVR and ready 5. Monteverde is behind him, and behind Monteverde, Carsten LeBlanc up from 11th on the grid. And you made 1 place, but he's ahead of Bill Shepherd.
Looking at the speed in qualifying, with 0.8 of a second advantage, James Cottingham ahead of Bradley Ellis, then another 1/3 of a second back to Andrew Smith. There was no indication that Smith would be able to take the battle. And who's that? Is that Minshaw, number 8? Minshaw's gone around. He's clipped the banking just, but he's going again. That was the battle, the 4-way battle for 3rd place. So he's dropped out of it, and that leaves 2 Cobras now fighting with Gary Pearson, and Pearson at the back of that group. Out front, though, Andrew Smith really taking the battle to race leader James Cottingham. I thought Cottingham would escape. Not going to be happening.
Andrew Smith had the outright record here for a while in a T70 Lola in the what's effectively the Bruce McLaren race today. Set down into the chicane they come, and Cottingham takes a lot of momentum into the chicane, which helps, and he's got it out cleanly as well. Cottingham and Smith go through. They're both in the 24s,
but one of the
fantastic. Pearson 3rd on his own now. 4th and 5th are Hart and Hall.
But look who's 6th. Up from the middle of the front row, he got pushed wide at the Badrick on the opening lap. Car number 47, Bradley Ellis, right back in the mix, and I think he's got the pace to go round these 2 Cobras. Won't be the work of a minute. Hall just holding off David Hart, but right on their tail and gaining all the time. It's number 47, Bradley Ellis.
David Brabham down in 15th place in the 98 Ginetta. And look, one of the Mustangs going through here on our screens is Rob Hall, who's got to the head of his little group. Bradley Ellis in 47, driving the wheels off the Chris Scragg Jaguar, and he dances up over the little gradient up into Lavant corner, that is, isn't it? The double apex right onto the straight, and Bradley Ellis isn't that far, essentially behind number 9, the third place car, Gary Pearson. His problem is that there are 2 Cobras between them. Now there's a battle for the lead because somewhere during this lap, Andrew Smith has found some pace and he's caught James Cottingham.
It's been coming for about a lap and a half. He was edging ever closer, but now catching one thing and passing is quite another. Is Cottingham just staying to play and making a race of it? His speed in qualifying was
new fastest lap for Smith, 24.476. which is precious close to Cottingham's pole time. Pearson is third. He's 8.4 seconds behind Smith, but then behind him, Hall, Hart and Ellis are split by a second.
Well, wonderful fight for the lead between the 2 Cobra Daytona coupes, the 2 that near the front end, there's one further down the field, but clousing the curbs at the King before St Mary's, Andrew Smith had to come off the power a tiny bit. Now we're riding looking forward the way that James Cottingham sees the track as he goes out of the dip up to Lavant. He stays wide as he dares, then he comes onto the apex, and there's one more apex to come. Again, not using all the width on the circuit. He knows that Andrew Smith is behind, trying to find a way through, but in fact a far better line on the exit there for James Cottingham. He's eked out a bit of an advantage, but Andrew Smith, we've seen before, he's been able to close right in, and I'm sure he'll do so all over again. Third place, and now being pushed really hard, is the Pearson E-Type.
Bradley Ellis in the background, skirting the grass.
Yeah, well, I thought he would have managed to find a way by at least David Hart so far. He's got to get right onto his tail. He's done it before. I think he might have made a slight mistake, and as you said, getting on the grass, couldn't put the power down as he wanted.
Tough cookie, the Dutchman. He'll be very hard to overtake, but Bradley Ellis is certainly up for the challenge. He's a pro driver, and Pearson a little bit snaky coming out of the chicane, which is going to allow Rob Hall to close in. Meanwhile, the battle continues up front. Wish we could see a camera backwards from the green car, because there's the silver one all over it, and that is the car of Andrew Smith, the Scot. Pushing, loving every second of this.
Well, this time he didn't clout the curb quite so hard at the kink. He had to come off the power a little bit last time. That's why he dropped back, but now he's just 1 car length behind, maybe 1.5 as they go through the dip up to Lavant. Not close enough to look at the inside, but close enough to make race leader James Cottingham really just wonder where the attack's coming from. And in third place, Gary Pearson's really having to fight in the wake behind them. But what a wonderful lead scrap in the background. Oh dear, number 3.
It's Roger Wills out in the Bizzarrinis. Andrew Smith under braking, closing up on Cottingham. But we've got the next 4 cars pretty much together now.
The order has changed. Pearson has lost third place. I knew Hall was attacking very hard just out of our sight. He's gone into third place, and now David Hart is pushing hard. And 47, the second of the E-types, Bradley Ellis, who got pushed wide in the first corner, is really making good ground. We've got to see if he can overtake as well. Looking up the inside, but not quite serious enough this time. Madgwick is the corner where the lead did not change, so still it's Cottingham in the way.
New fastest lap of the race to Andrew Smith, 1:24.437. Hall is now third in number 1. 9 Pearson is fourth. Then we've got 4, which is Hart, and Ellis behind him.
With points being scored in the race, each driver is apportioned to a house, and Anthony Reid will be delighted that his fellow Scot, Andrew Smith, will be scoring for Methuen, but also the maximum points for the race winner, James Cottingham, has those at the moment. He too is with Methuen. So
I still rather think that Bradley Ellis is going to finish higher than 6th place. He's got the pace. Ellis 26.1 last time round, was a couple of tenths quicker than Hart, and a chunk quicker than Pearson.
Well, he may or may not be helped by the fact that Battle is ahead of him. The trouble is, it keeps covering the bit of track he wants to get onto, as David Hart is using all sorts of lines to try and unsettle Gary Pearson, and I think just eking his way clear in third place now is Rob Hall. in the white Cobra. Yeah, you can see he's finally got a bit of a gap. Then comes Pearson in fourth. And now let's see what Bradley Ellis can do under braking. Can't quite get past Hart, but Hart's having a really serious look at Pearson. If he runs wide, I think Bradley Ellis will nip up the inside. Oh, it's so close, Marcus.
Cottingham 23.981, a new record, 23.981. He has the advantage of 0.44, but he's got traffic ahead of him as backwards to land. That's Martinez, and he's backwards on the grass, but will continue, I'm sure. Hall has a second now over Pearson. Pearson only has 6/10 covering himself, Hart and Ellis. Minshaw recovering from that half spin at St Mary's, and number 8 is up to 7th again, ahead of Whitaker and Monteverde, and Graham Dodd now beginning to show he's in 10th.
I really feel that Bradley Ellis in 6th place will make his move when Hart does something decisive in the number 4 AC Cobra in trying to get past Pearson ahead of him. The Pearson E-Type actually pulled out a bit of a gap because Hart made a bit of a mistake at St Mary's, ran a little bit wide. Not as wide as the 63.
63 into the wall. That's Carsten LeBlanc has hit the Cobra pretty hard.
Just trying to gauge where that is. Is that up at Fordwater? Yes, it's up at Fordwater. I'm just going to grab my binoculars. That was quite a clonk there, so just remember 0.4 of a second clear.
He's out of the car, though. Well, that's the good news.
What a strong car that was.
He's perfectly fine, but the Cobra's not very well. Yes, look at that, straight off. No correction of trajectory.
That's a very unusual place
Safety
to see.
car, though. Safety car you can't overtake now with the safety car out, but the leaders have gone past one of the Mustangs, I see. There you can see the damaged car at the side of the track.
As I was saying, Marcus, it's quite an unusual place for someone to have an accident to go straight on there. Normally your accident will come on the exit of the corner, but that was absolutely four square.
Just speared off, didn't it?
Yeah. So our race leaders still going around. James Cossingham ahead of Andrew Smith, and now I think they've backed off. They've got the signal. So
yes, they're down at Lavant now, the 17 and 56.
And they had really worked their way clear, having a fantastic battle. James Cossingham and his good friend Andrew Smith in the Cobra Daytona coupes. Rob Hall had just eked his way clear of that fabulous four-way battle for third place. So he'd made third place his own in the white number 1 Cobra, but the battle behind between the two E-types and David Hart's Cobra was
David Hart had got ahead of Pearson on that last lap, so David Hart at number 4 into 4th place. 17 Cottingham, 56 Smith in the Cobras, then 1 Hall and the Cobra Coupes, then 1 Hall and 4 Hart in the Cobra Hardtops, and then 9 Pearson, 47 Ellis in the E-types. In fact, Pearson's best lap so far at 21:26.166, Ellis's 1:26.006, so absolutely nothing really between them. Also in the low 26s, 26.1 is the best of John Minshaw, 26.5 Mike Whitaker, who's gone very well first shot out in this early TVR Griffith.
So the safety car's been unusually busy here. Oh, good to see David Bradman's been going very well, hasn't he? We haven't really talked too much about him.
He's in 12th, yeah.
So just sort of looking at the cars as they come on around the circuit. One car you just on the screens at the moment, the blue TVR, that has really gone well for Mike Whitaker. Good to see a mix of cars up at the front.
Yeah, Mike Whitaker, the HSCC Guards Trophy champion a couple of years ago.
It's very hard to gauge exactly why Carsten LeBlanc went on. It looks as though he just maybe got a wheel just a little bit too far to the left of the circuit on turn-in, got it on the grass, and didn't have any grip whatsoever, but obviously it would have happened very quickly. Good to see him out of the car so quickly. So the safety car leading around, we have just under 6 minutes on the clock, and the race first and second, the two Cobra Daytona coupes going through the dip up towards Lavant, and then there's a bit of a gap back to the car in third place, which is just going through St Mary's now. That's Rob Hall in the white Cobra. Then, as you pointed out, Marcus, we had David Hart going up into 4th place. He's listed on the screens in 5th place. However, Pearson is listed ahead of him.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what's happened there, but last time round, the Hart was shown ahead. unless there was a little glitch on
well, he's
one of
running
the transponders.
Yeah, but Hart's running ahead on the track. That's what slightly confuses me. But hey, I don't know who to trust.
I haven't seen any sort of a penalty flagged up. In fact, it wouldn't be a minor penalty, would it? It would be anything, it would be 10 seconds for something. So he would drop down a couple more places than that. Here's the start then, and you saw the two Cobra Daytona Coupes on the outside of that front row come across. A very good start from David Hart up the inside, and David Hart was third into Madgwick, and that's why Bradley Ellis and also Rob Hall went out wide onto the grass.
You really had to feel for Bradley Ellis. He knew he didn't have the grunt off the start-finish line. The Cobra Daytona Coupes on either side went past, but now let's try and see how his E-Type got squeezed to the outside. It's just past the first part of Madgwick. We're seeing this from many angles. Wonderful to see these brilliant cars accelerating hard off the line on their blast down to the first corner.
It's
but
great,
Bradley Ellis did get pushed out to the outside, and he's spent the race fighting his way back.
Superb camera work. Now he has a potential reprieve, doesn't he? Because suddenly he's back in the peloton, so to speak, and we will see what happens here. This is just going past the scene of the incident, and the Everyman's Garage truck has arrived to hoik the Cobra away.
Yeah, so just for now, enjoy running at abated speed around the circuit, looking forward through James Cottingham's windscreen as they negotiate the second part of Lavant. Sorry, approach the King before Beer St Mary's, I beg your pardon. I just noticed the trees on the outside. So the field are bunching up, but there are three cars that are between the Cobra Daytona Coupes. These are cars that have been lapped. 72 Mustang, the number 6 Bizzarrini, and the number 12 Jaguar E-Type, which is Katerina Kibalova. And then come the two the top place regular Cobras, that's Rob Hall and David Hart. Then Gary Pearson, the side screen's got his E-Type back into 5th, and Bradley Ellis in 6th. So we've got 3 pairs of cars, very similar performance, but at the moment the advantage with Cottingham and Smith in their Cobra Daytona Coupes.
Yeah, just 0.8 of a second between them last time through, within what, a 2.5 minutes or so of the scheduled finish of this race, and I'm wondering whether they will just give them an extra couple of minutes to race it out to the flag, or whether we will finish under safety car.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the clock at the top of the screen. Twice already this morning we've seen extra minutes added on, a few extra minutes to allow them to be released. Looking to my right across to Ford Water, they've yet to get the stricken Carsten LeBlanc Cobra up onto the flatbed, so it could be a while yet.
Yeah. They'll retrieve it very carefully, although they're not going to inflict any more damage to the front corner, I don't think. But it's the usual professional job from every man. Sydney 4th members meeting, and plenty of you here enjoying it, braving the biting cold. Ironic, wasn't it, that about 7 o'clock last night, 8 o'clock last night, the wind had dropped, and the temperature was probably the highest it had been all day.
Not for me, Marcus. I was sitting on a trailer being dragged by a tractor around the circuit, and even at tractor speed, it was pretty cold out of the wind. But the wind's not. But the wind today actually is a fraction of how it was blowing yesterday morning in particular.
Positively balmy. Well, it's gone up to 4 minutes on the clock, so we do have an extension, but we're about to winch the damaged Cobra onto that truck. It's good to see Carsten LeBlanc climb out and amble across to the marshal's post.
Yes, Carsten had started, in fact, just outside the top 10 in 11th position, was in the thick of the battle, not the lead battle, but having a good battle nonetheless. Yet to find out exactly why he went on at Ford Water.
Yeah,
but
he was running about 11th at the time.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether to take that truck with the Cobra on it, because that'll be the the final arbiter really in this, whether there'll be an extension with 3 minutes still to go on the clock, 3¼ minutes.
I think there's a gap that they can pull it through there, but they have yet to get it up onto the flat bed. We can see it was tilted back, waiting to receive the Cobra, but the 63 Cobra, battered and bruised, is still sitting down on the ground. I think now they're starting to winch it up. Certainly people trying to just give it a little bit of guidance from the back. Anyhow,
one of the good things is that when these cars go in, they're very well caged these days, and they are the type of car that can bounce back from a heavy impact and be fixed relatively quickly by experts with the correct jigs and personnel.
Of course, Marcus, we're trying to catch up with time lost earlier in the meeting, so maybe the race organisers will be a bit more ruthless about rewinding the clock. Keep an eye on the clock and we'll see what happens. But without it being rewound, probably this is the last lap behind the safety car.
Well, what I can tell you, Chris and Marcus, is the car, with the safety car, still has the lights flashing on its roof as it goes past Carsten Leblanc's car, which is still down on terra firma. So the light with this lap is definitely obviously going to be completed behind the safety car, but I think they could take it to the conclusion of the race. I won't guess, but the fact is the Cobra is still down on the ground, I'm afraid. And the safety car is just coming through the kink before St Mary's. Good to see out on screen how many people have been wise enough to bring a hat today. Certainly helps keep the heat in, and so well dressed.
That fastest lap of James Cottingham's, a 1:23.981, is staggering.
Yes, he was really being pushed so hard by Andrew Smith to the extent that it becomes hard to get your own line right as you're being pushed. Andrew Smith was a fifth of a second behind, but then really it struck back very well. James Cottingham just put his focus forward. And there was the lap time that delivered it, and what a lap that was.
The bacon butt is being consumed. Keep the warmth inside.
Yes, and if it all gets a little too cold, you can go into the Great Hall, which just has remarkable looking fare. I only know about it because I've seen photos of it, but I walked in last year, a magical place, particularly after it gets dark this evening.
I suspect the clock is not going to be rewound.
Well, the cars are now just coming into the chicane, the first few, so let's see what happens. 38 seconds remaining on the clock until the checkered flag was due to be shown. Going on to another lap.
They've had a few laps. They've had what? The safety car came out on lap 9, so they've had 10, 11, 12, 13, 4 laps behind that. Probably won't be a fueling issue running this slowly. Time has now ticked away. Sletterson winner there, he looked rather young to have earned his spurs on track. And the clock's ticked back, and I haven't seen any flags. Looking up to my right, there's another low drag coupe. That's Mike Wrigley. Races you'll be seeing out later on in the Formula 1 demo. It is Williams FW07. Aston Martin Project car 214, and there's the background is the LeBlanc Cobra being cajoled onto the flatbed.
Good to see so many people out around the circuit using their earwig, the little radio you put into your ear. And, the aerial is actually in the lanyard there, the Goodwood lanyard, so that's why you can hear at all points around the circuit what we're saying. Also, people are listening all around the world through live streaming, the miracle element that helps people from all over stay in touch with events like the Goodwood members meeting. So James Cottingham coming around behind the safety car, but the lights are still ablaze on the roof of that, waiting for further signal because the clock has run down to completion. Let's see what happens this time with the race leader in number 17.
So greetings if you're waking up in the United States of America. Hope you've been up all night or in the early hours watching the the fun and games that we're having at Goodwood. Yep,
Checkered flag has
out.
been given, so it is going to finish at 14 laps in the order. So it's going to be a victory for James Cottingham from the DK Engineering team with car 17, the BC Cobra Daytona Coupe reps. Similar car 56 of Andrew Smith in second place. In third place, the more conventional styled Cobra of Rob Hall, number 1. Fourth for David Hart in a similar car. Fifth and sixth, Jaguar E-types of Gary Pearson, number 9, and number 47, Bradley Ellis.